Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. This is a part 2 video to your Chapter 4 Are You Ready packet. Reminder that Chapter 4 exam will be the last opportunity for extra credit. So you can earn well over 100% on your Chapter 4 exam, but there will be no other extra credit opportunities. There's no going to be rounding or boosting up of any sorts. Extra credit is offered on the Chapter 4 exam. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Question number 15 is from Chapter 1. So we are going to draw your dotted line, circle your equals, draw your dotted line. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cover this side on the left-hand side, and I'm going to see that, yes, these can be combined because both of them share x. Since we have x and x, these are like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I have an x, I'm going to keep an x. It looks like my markers are starting to dry out. That's okay. And then I have 5 minus 4, which is just 1x here. You can put a 1. You can also not put a 1. Bringing down, I have a 9 plus 4x. Again, staying with combining like terms, I am going to subtract 4x on both sides. Bringing down the 9, just 9. Here I have a negative 3x. 3 times x, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. And here I have 9 divided by negative 3, which is negative 3x. Okay, moving on. Still in Chapter 1, we are going to distribute this 5. So I'm going to put 5 onto this negative 8n and 5 onto this positive 6. Do not touch that negative 4. So we have 5 times open negative 8n and 5 times open positive 6 is still multiplying. We're still doing times. And then I have this positive 4 here. Then I'm still going to have this positive 4. Just kidding, negative 4, negative 4. I do have a dotted line for my equals, and I have this 382. We are going to multiply this. So we have 5 times negative 8, which is 40. We do have an n. Be careful here. Negative, just kidding, this is a positive 5, so positive 5 times 6 gives me a positive 30. And again, I still have that minus 4n, so we are still bringing down that minus 4n. We're not really doing anything just yet with it. And I still have my 382 here. So now that we have our 382, we're going to combine like terms, and we have a negative 40n with a minus 4n. Put those together, and we have negative 44n. Bring down the plus 30 and 382. Bring that down. Still combining like terms. We have subtracting 30, negative 44n is equal to whatever this is, 382 minus 30. I get 352. And then we're going to divide by negative 44, which gives me 8 negative. So n is equal to negative 8. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is asking to determine if negative 16 is a solution. Do not solve for x. No, this is asking you to check, not to solve. Okay, there is no solving here. There's no equals, there's no inequality that you're going to be identifying. So here, we're just going to open up my x, and we're going to ask ourselves a question, is this a true or false statement? Now, the true or false is not the answer. So if I recall in Chapter 2, some of you left your answers as, this is true. Fantastic. What about it? So make sure that you're actually answering the question. And right now we're asking ourselves, is negative 43 bigger than a positive 2? And that is not true. That is false. And so again, this is not the answer. So the answer is no. X equals negative 16 is not a solution. If we get a false statement, the answer is not a solution. If we get a true statement, the answer is yes, a solution. But again, the true or false, that's not actually what is the answer. All right, let's open up for x. And inside of x, I'm writing -16. Again, our goal right here is to ask yourself a question. Is this a true or false statement? So I'm not solving anything. Don't move anything around. Just plug it into the calculator. Let the calculator do the thinking for you for the algebra section. And then here is where we're going to jump in and use our brain and say, okay, is 4 bigger than 1? Well, yes, that's true. And again, true is not the answer. The answer is yes, x equals -16 is a solution. Okay, moving on. Question number 18, solve the compound inequality. And I did write in a hint for you, and you're asking yourself, is this an and or an or statement? So the and or statement comes after you have your your absolute value by itself. So right now, we need to remove this positive 1. So here's my dotted line. I'm going to subtract 1, making my absolute value by itself. So there's nothing here and there's nothing here. I'm writing no, but short for nothing. Since now I have nothing here, did I multiply or divide by a negative number? And this happens here in this step. And no, we did not. So we're going to bring down our inequality, copy and paste, because no, we did not multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay, so I have nothing in front. I have nothing behind the absolute value. I just have this here. Then I need to ask myself the question, is this an and or an or statement? This depends on our inequality sign here. If it is a greater than or a greater than or equal to symbol, this is an or statement. So we're going to separate this out into 2, remove the absolute values. I'm copying this down twice. And then one of them stays the same, and then the other one gets a negative. Okay, now when you do this, remember, flip, then make it negative. Okay, flip and then make it negative. Now we're going to be solving these. I may run out of space. We'll see how that goes. Add 5, -2. There it is, no more space. So I might have to shift this over. Let's go ahead and I'm going to move this up here. I'm going to try this again. So I had -2x minus 5 is greater than 20. And I had a -2x minus 5 is less than -20. Okay, add 5 to both sides, dotted line, and we start solving. We get 25, divide by -2, divide by -2, x. Okay, wait, did we multiply or divide by a negative number? Yes, we divided by a negative number, which means when I bring down my inequality sign, I now have to flip it. And this right here is a fraction, and that is okay. Keep the fraction, simplify it if you can. But I want to stress that this is not your answer. Okay, this is in a thinking bubble, not your answer yet. And then let's go ahead and solve the other side. So we have, again, we're going to add 5 to both sides. Here's my dotted line. -2x. Here is, what are we subtracting by 5? -20 plus 5. We get -15, divide by -2, divide by -2. Again, did we multiply or divide by a negative number? Yes, because we multiplied and divided or divided by a negative number, in this case division, we need to flip our inequality this way. Now I put a plus in front of 15 because we did end up doing a negative divided by a negative. Okay, now some of you are still unsure about your and your or statements. Is this and or is this or? Your check should be here when you have a greater than symbol. Or if you are unsure, you do have an option of quickly graphing and seeing if this is going to be an overlap and, or if there's going to be a gap or. So some number is smaller than negative 25 halves. Now I really don't care where negative 25 halves is. It's just on the negative side. It's going to be an open. Some numbers are smaller. And then here is a positive number. So it's on the right. And some number is bigger than. So see how you have a gap? This gap means that there is an or statement. So I'm going to take my answers, both of them, and then write my answer with the word or to emphasize the or statement. Now, or, this word or, is part of your answer. So if you don't write the word or, it is considered incorrect. Okay. Question number 19. Given a function, f of x is equal to 5x plus 1, describe the transformations. This is a two-part question. Describe the transformations, and it is asking you to write the transfer function. So what does this mean? Describe means, in English, tell me what's going on, and write the new transform function. This is your math new equation. So when you are asking to write the transferred function, you're going to, in mathematics, create a new equation. If it's asking you to describe, this word here, describe, means you're going to translate what we have into English. A, this right here is inside the function. Inside means opposite of what you see. So what is my description? In English, I am going to shift to the right 2. Now, I know this looks weird, but this right here is the answer for the English. Okay? So what did I look at? I looked at the inside of negative 2. That means we do opposite of what we see. So my description, my English answer is shift right 2. Staying with A, I am going to now write the new transfer function. I'm going to go all the way up here and I'm going to pick up my function. So here's my function. I'm going to drag it down here. Okay. And I'm going to open up 4x. And I'm going to put in, I'm going to make this a little bigger. Because I have my insides right here, this f of minus 2 is inside. So I'm going to bring it inside of my function of x minus 2. Go ahead and distribute this 5. We get 5 times x, 5 times negative 2 plus 1. Combine like terms. What would they like it to be called? H. Okay, they want it to be called H. So we have H of x is equal to 5x minus 9. So take a look at your math new equation in function notation. This right here is your English answer for the descriptors. So this is answer, this is an answer, and this is an answer. So you have 2 answers for this question. Okay, let's go again. For B, it is asking you once again to describe. So notice the difference between A and B. In A, right here where my finger is, this is inside. This minus 2 is inside of the parentheses. So parentheses were here, and -2 was inside. Take a look at what we have for B. Notice that I have two things happening. I have a 2 that is not inside of the parentheses, and I have a 3 also not inside the parentheses. Since both of them are on the outside, this is going to change my English answer. So this 2 on the outside is a vertical stretch by 2 because it is bigger than 1. And this 3 is going to be a shift up by 3. So shift up by 3 is this 3. Vertical stretch by 2 is this purple. Okay, now reminder, these are actually your answers for your English. Okay, that's what the word describe means. It means translate this into English. Now for your math answer, we're going to take our function just like we did before. We're going to bring our function over here. This time I am not opening up for x. Instead, I'm writing everything. So 5x plus 1, and I'm putting this 5x plus 1 inside of parentheses. What did I have on the outside? On the outside, I had a vertical stretch of 2, and on the outside, I have a shift up by 3. So I am putting what I had on the outside of the parentheses. Now, what is inside the parentheses? Well, our function is inside. Let's go ahead and distribute that 2. I get 10x. 2 times positive 1 is a positive 2. I still have this plus 3 here. Combining like terms, what did they want it to be called? H. So h of x is equal to 10x plus 5. This is my new transformed equation. Again, we have two answers. We have the math new transform function, and we have the answer in English. Number 20, state if the relation is discrete or continuous, then state the domain and range, and if the function is if the relation, is a function. Explain why the relation is or is not a function. Okay, so this is a loaded question. A lot. First of all, discrete or continuous, connected or disconnected. So continuous means connected. Discrete means disconnected. Okay, did we connect? Yes. Notice there are no gaps here. So this is continuous. Again, points are connected. Now, because it is continuous, domain and range do not contain squiggly brackets. These are going to be your inequalities where you have your x and your y in the middle. Domain is for x's, range are for y's. Next, you're going to take a look at what we have here. Let's talk about our x values. So I'm going to drag down, and this right here is the smallest value for our x, and that is at -3. Notice that this point right here, it's not really shown, but there is no gap. So we're going to do less than or equal to. And then if we take a look on the right-hand side, notice that I have arrows. Anytime we have arrows, we are talking about 2 dimensions. And we are looking towards the right, which is talking about our x values that are big, which means that I am going to have a positive infinity. Now, we cannot grab infinity. We cannot hold an infinite amount of coffees. So we do not have the or equals to sign. We just have a less than. Now let's talk about our range. Similarly, we're going to take a look at the tallest, so big, versus our smallest. But this time, I'm taking a look on the y-axis, so this section right here. If I take a look at this section, notice I have an arrow going up. So that means my tallest or my largest section is going to be infinity, positive infinity. And if I take a look at the smallest, if we go down, notice I have an arrow going down here, which means my smallest y value is going to be negative infinity. Now, just like before, anytime infinities are involved, we are not putting the or equals to symbol, we're just putting the less than. Next, is this relation a function? This is where you have a choice. You can either do a vertical line test or you can look at your x values. I think the vertical line test is better. So I'm going to draw vertical lines here. And notice that I have more than one intersection here. So on this vertical line, I have two intersections with the vertical line. Here I have two, here I have two. So no, this is not a function. How do we know it's not a function? You can say two things. Does not pass the vertical line test. You can say that. You can also say x values are repeated. You can also say that, okay? You can also say one input, so one x value, two outputs. So two y values for each x value, which is a no-no. All right, beautiful people, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in class. Bye.